What's up, everyone? I hope everyone is doing really, really well. Um, Come on in. I don't know how many people are going to be in, but I do want to talk about the Monique Shannon Sharp interview along with D.L. Hughley's response and Abbott Elementary School and other things. So come on in. Give me a minute. All right, you all. I am back. I'm just watching the end of Abbott Elementary School, and I watched the Shannon Sharp and Monique interview, and I also watched D.L. Hughley's response, along with other things. So let me start off by saying that I thoroughly enjoyed Abbott Elementary School tonight. It just went off. I think the breakaway star is Ava, the principal. She's funny. All of the characters are really good, and I'm really loving the storyline. That back that A up, and she was in that gym with that spotlight, and that thing got to her spirit. I was dying laughing. And also when she was taping or looking in the camera with Janine and Gregory's conversation, and she said, "Ooh, Janine is mad." I was rolling. So all of these things happened on Abbott Elementary School. They had some people of the Philadelphia Eagles on, and Janine and Gregory's kind of romance, and I thought it was good. So if you haven't viewed Abbott Elementary School, please view it. It's a good show, and I love it because again, it's dealing with teachers and what they have to go through. They try to put it in a humorous setting, and I really like that show. So check it out. Now, the Monique and Shannon Sharp interview. I thought it was a good interview. People, oh, you did. Oh my God. Come on, Idlewild Blue. I love the show. I love the show. It's a good show. So thank you for sharing that. But let me say, Shannon Sharp is a practical country brother. But one thing I do like about Shannon Sharp is that he allows the person to talk and to express their feelings. Uh, and I will say that I thought the interview kind of told us who Monique was and is. I must admit, some of that interview was funny about her being a whore, and he said, "No, baby, you just got friendly. P. She got friendly. Kulala. I roll." So some of the interview was very funny. Monique is funny. One thing you cannot say is Monique is not funny. Monique is funny. And a lot of people think she was throwing shade because she was talking about Oprah's size and stuff, but I don't think Monique was throwing shade. Um, Listening to her interview, I think Monique admired Oprah. Oprah was the reason why Monique went into the business because here is this woman who looks like her and she's doing it. Monique made a really good point when Oprah found out when she was in Baltimore that her white counterpart was making more than she was making. She left and moved to get paid more. And I think Monique really made her point. And I think Monique is disappointed because someone who she looked up to really hurt her. And it's one thing to get hurt by people who don't like you, but it's another thing to get hurt by someone who you look up to and they seem like they're your friend or have your best interest at heart, but they don't. And I can understand her hurt with that situation. I like Monique's transparency. Um, Monique has told this story, but Monique was a special ed student. Monique said she worked at Popeyes and she definitely has that knack of sale. And I don't think this interview made Monique look bad. It made Monique look like a person. It made Monique look like a human being. One thing I also enjoyed about the interview is that Monique said Monique with the hyphen is my stage name because Monique on stage is not the same Monique off stage. And I agree with Monique. There has to be an on stage and off stage persona. I feel the same way about YouTube. It has to be an on stage, off stage. And the person that you see on stage is not the whole person off stage. There may be similar characteristics, but you know, there are some things on stage that you won't see off stage. And I think Monique was very clear in that. Monique has told the same story over and over again. Monique said it's not against the law to record somebody in the state that I live in. But she said, had I not recorded this individual, then it would have been his word against mine. Monique even went to go say that people who agreed with her, once they talked to him, stories changed because there was money involved. And it's really funny when somebody can fly you in their private jet and do stuff for you and maybe give you a coin or three, how help you don't hear from anybody anymore because they've been bought off. And I got what she was saying as well. Now, I do think it was some indirect shade thrown, especially with that Gayle King thing, because Monique was talking about her relationship with Sydney. That's her and Sydney's relationship. If it works for Monique, it works for Monique. It may not work for everyone. But Monique said that she had a whole lot of money, but she still had a 15-year-old mentality. And seemed like Sydney was not going to put up with it. And it caused her to change. And they were very open. So thank you, Chocolate Bay's Choco Bay. It's good to see you. I think that was critical because that's their relationship. And I've always said that, we think that these rappers and these people should be different because they got all this money. Money does not buy class. Money does not buy manners. You have to want to change. You have to want to change. Now, I will say the Mary J. Blige now is not the Mary J. Blige when she first started, but there had to be a change. I think Monique really drove home how the industry operates. What she said, Fantasia said. All Fantasia wanted to do was sing. but she didn't recognize what was going on because she was naive, and Monique admitted to being naive, and I could appreciate that. I think it was a learning lesson for all those people who plan to go into the entertainment industry. I think it's a lesson for us, even in the YouTube beef sector or whatever sector, because you're getting paid with advertisements. And I stopped looking at algorithms a long time ago because the algorithms always tell you you're not doing enough or you need to make more money, or and that's what the algorithms are there for. And even though there's no one physically telling you that, you can see that. And I think Monique did a good job of saying that. Lee Daniels was the only one who apologized to her. Monique said that I don't hate these people. I just want these people to be accountable. And I can see, just be accountable. Taraji and Monique had a conversation, it seems. And and Monique has been really talking about this for the longest. But it takes Taraji. And Monique was talking about her situation, and I just think it's important, you all, and you all, we can say that these are rich people problems and stuff. No, it's all of our problems. Because even though Monique is an actress and she's making a lot of money, it's no different than you working on a job as a teacher and you're making less, but you're doing a lot of work, you're getting good reviews, but you have a mediocre instructor who gets all the praise, gets all the money, and they're mediocre. But when it comes to being advanced, they get advanced. And they're getting money and they're getting this. And it's race. So I understand you all are saying, well, this is, she's a millionaire, but no, it's not only that. It could be in the corporate world, it can be in education, it could be in all of those arenas. And, we have to really speak out on it because I think and I'll say this, if they could do this to our actors and actresses, the people who we see on the screen, then what do you think they'll do to us? And I think we need to look at it in that manner. So I think the interview was good. I enjoyed it. I looked at it from start to finish. It was captivating. Monique talked about, Oprah, her brother, how she was raised. I mean, it was a really good in-depth picture of who Monique is. Monique talked about how one thing that got me too is when the Queens of Comedy was on. And I love how Monique said that me and Samora have different ways of doing things, but Monique was always complimentary towards the people she worked with. And I guess Monique was hitting that night and Samora switched the whole thing around. And truly, you just got to know where you are. You got to know what your limits are. And I just thought it was good. Now, the DL Hughley thing has come about, and that's ugly. And DL said some stuff, and DL talked about the lady doing crunches, and he said, I can't understand how you exercise and getting big. He said, the only crunches you doing has a captain in front of it. Baby, when I tell you DL ain't nothing but petty, and I don't think that worked well for him. Now, again, DL has said some ugly stuff, and Monique has said what she said. But DL, I don't think it's working for you with them dark shades on and being really nasty about it. And I think how people react really shows you where they are. And DL said he was upset about something Monique exposed. Monique talked about Tiffany Haddish. Now, oh, baby, that got deep. She talked about Tiffany Haddish and all of these things. And let me say this. I'm glad Monique brought it back because it becomes a whole pissing match, and we really don't get to focus on the interview at hand. But Monique said some things, and she dialed it in, and I'm glad she dialed it in. Her and Shannon Sharp talked about relationships and some things, and I thought it was interesting. A lot of people say Shannon Sharp ain't nothing but like Wendy Williams. No, no. Shannon Sharp asked some really good. He really asked some really good questions of Monique. Shannon Sharp seemed like he researched, and you kept on hearing Monique say, "You researched that. Oh, Shannon, you did that." And he asked some really good questions that Monique had to think about. One thing I do like is that Shannon Sharp uh, told the people, because everybody got some pain points, and Monique had pain points of being heavy and fat and stuff. And then, Shannon Sharp talked about him being dark skinned and stuttering and how people turned him down. And I thought that was interesting. And so it was many moments in this interview that you could get a lot from. I got that trust but verify. Monique talked about how she almost had to call the cops because somebody didn't have her money. She talked about the Parkers and how they were making 55,000 per episode, but yet Shannon was like, "Well, they were making 100,000 per episode on Friends and stuff." So how again, people are not getting what they deserve, and so she's fighting for that money, and I just think it's just interesting. Just interesting. Now, this don't have nothing to do with Monique. Okay, now I am getting ready to be a little messy with some celebrity gossip. But baby, is Suge Knight telling it? Why is Suge Knight saying that our Russell Simmons was dating that man? He ain't no longer with us, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead. But Suge Knight is saying some things. I just want to say that. I don't know if y'all read that, but Suge Knight is saying that Russell Simmons was dating somebody. And then Billy D, do you want to feel counted, Billy D? Now all of a sudden, Billy D want to tell everybody that Marlon Brando came on to him. Who did not Marlon Brando come on to? Marlon Brando like black men. So I wouldn't doubt that, Billy, but your time has come. Okay, Billy, your time has come. I wants to hear from Quincy Jones before he leaves this earth. I wants to hear from Quincy. Okay, I wants to hear from Quincy. But it seems like Suge Knight is saying that this record producer person who's no longer with us anymore, who was a mentor to Puff Daddy, who fired Puff Daddy, but still was paying him, that he and Russell Simmons was together. Now that's what Suge Knight said. I read that on Smart News, and I got to find out. Was it the Atlanta? It was one of them Atlanta papers. But I don't speak ill of the dead, Michelle. But that's what the paper said. Now, this is not me. I gotten this from a source from Smart News, and it was a newspaper. Okay. And I went to go see who this Andre person was, and he spoke about Puff Daddy and how he took Puff Daddy under his wings, but he had to let Puff Daddy go, but he was still paying him. He was still paying him, but he had to let him go. But he was still paying. Baby, I wish I had a job where they let me go, but they still paid me to teach me a lesson. Teach me a lesson. Teach me a lesson. You know what I'm saying? But that's what he said. I found that very interesting. My God, today. Now, this ain't in the Monique interview. This is the Suge Knight thing, because Suge Knight is saying a lot of things now. And he's talking about Andre and Russell Simmons and all of this stuff. Now, this is not me. This is what Suge is saying. And then I went on over there to see Andre, and Andre said, he and P. Diddy, he worked for him and was teaching him the ropes, but he had to let him go. He had to cut him, let him go, so he could fly. But he was paying him. Okay. So yeah. Now I will say though, it was some underlying stuff again. Monique again talked about Oprah. She talked about Tyler Perry. She talked about, why she recorded that conversation. She talked about a lot of things. She wasn't as explosive as Cat Williams, but she did talk about it. I think she was a little bit more refined and a little bit more polished than Cat. She did give Cat his props. Now, let me say this, and I am going to agree with Monique. Monique said that she told on this girl who told her something, and she was going to pin this pregnancy on this boy, and Monique told, because Monique said it wasn't right. And Monique said, if it's going to affect somebody else, and don't tell me, because I'm going to tell it. And I think that's a real good acumen to have, because again, Monique is going to tell it. She said, I cannot see people going through stuff and I'm holding this and I know you're wrong. And I think that's really important. This is what I'm saying now. The truth ain't always, it's not popular, and it hurts because you're not going to tell a lie. Even with me now and what I've decided to do, I am looking at evidence. I'm no longer wrapped in this emotion. I'm no longer, and I'm not saying that I ever was, but sometimes you can get wrapped up in emotion, especially in the beef sector and a lot of these other sectors. Not only the beef sector, other sectors, but I'm more familiar with the beef sector. We go with these emotions and this salaciousness, and we really don't know that people are taking us off the track or pulling us away. We mix apples with oranges and think that it is right, and it's not. It's not. And so again, I'm not there. Now, let me go to other things, and I'm going to be finished real quickly. Let me go to other things. You all, I don't have a problem with anyone. I came in this afternoon because I said what I said. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm not here to do XYZ. Now, somebody brought to my attention, well, you did this to Tracy and da da da. Me and Tracy talked about this, and we talked about this, and recently, very recently. Was it petty that I drove by Tracy's apartment? It was damn petty. It was real petty. And I apologize to Tracy for my pettiness, because it was petty. But no time did I ever knock on Tracy's door. To this day, I cannot tell you, I could not knock on Tracy's door if it saved me, because I don't know where she lives in that sense of apartments. I know in the vicinity, but I couldn't tell you where she lived. I drove by there. Now, not a law against driving by folk houses. The law comes when you start knocking on doors and doing things like that, and calling and breathing heavy and all of that stuff. That's when we get into that. And I get it. A lot of people say, well, you did. But let me say this, you all. I have never called Teresa's job. I have never done any of those things. Then a lot of you all say, well, you did this, Deanna. And again, I look at folk and say, did Deanna live in them houses? Now, she lived ED in those houses, but is she living in that house now? Absolutely not. Was it petty? It was. And was she probably mad? She probably was. But I didn't hear all of that smoke when people really were showing where Deanna was living with the address and everything. And that wasn't me. And people can be selective. And I get it. I get it because people don't like you. And I understand that's what they want to do. And they throw those things out. I get it. I get it. But again, I said what I said this afternoon. You are hurting yourself. Something is wrong when you think that playing on a church phone and with that organization that's busy feeding people and doing these things, and you think that's cute, all because I sold popcorn and was successful selling popcorn. And I'm not mad at that, but I just want y'all to think about what people do and what we now consider entertainment. That's not entertainment. And I said what I said. I'm not upset about it. I don't know what the church is going to do. It is not my call. It's not. But I am not upset. I'm moving the same way that I'm moving. I think if people continue to move like they move, I think they're going to find themselves in a jail cell or paying a whole lot of money out to people because of court costs. At some point in time, you got to do something different. You got to think of your long term and your short term gain. I don't ever want my short term gain to take me to long term jail or long term incarceration. And I think we have to be wise and use emotional intelligence. And I'm telling you, again, nobody ran me off. I know people want to go with that, but I think we have some really mentally ill individuals on YouTube where I don't take things personally when people roast and gag me, other people may. And a lot of people can dish it, but they can't take it. And when you have people doing things that can be considered harassment and stalking, and you have to be very, very careful. I am fine. I am good. I am blessed. I appreciate you all, though, for being concerned. But this is not for sympathy or any of the sort. I appreciate it because, again, when people think enough of you, you should tell them thank you. But you don't need to get no violin. You don't need to do none of that. I meant what I said earlier this afternoon. I meant it then and I mean it now. You all be wise, be thoughtful. I don't want nobody to go to jail. There are a lot of people who are trying to set people up. This is why I don't go back and forth with people and do all of that stuff, because there are people, their whole job is, I want to set you up. I want to harm you. I am hurting or you've made me hurt, so I'm going to hurt you even more. I am hurting because I'm going through. I'm hurting because I'm living through childhood trauma that I ain't never dealt with before. And YouTube is giving me this out. And now I feel very powerful because of this. And I'm going to say this, a whole lot of cussing. And I know y'all, I cuss, baby, because y'all love to hear me cuss. And I know because it was a shock value and that was the entertainment piece. But to be honest, I don't curse uh, a great deal. I don't do it in my regular conversation. I do it because y'all liked it and y'all had a whole flip out field day with it. But yeah, we just got to be really careful. And it's not only me, it's other people as well. It's other people. Somebody hit me up and tell me they were doxxed, and because they liked a certain content creator. And again, even with other people. So, hey, Madam Scorpio, I didn't even know that Bless Watkins said that, but by just reading what you just said, again, it's where people are. Why? Really? And you know what? It's no even why. It ain't even no why. I can't even go into that. It's no why. I'm just glad that you recognize it as a lie, that you recognize it as somebody who just probably don't have anything else to do. But again, that's the kind of people that we're dealing with. And I'm sorry, I don't watch Bless either. So for you just letting me know that, I think it's hilarious. But see, this is why I don't feel my space and my time now with this. This is why I really, let me say this. I was really struggling for content at one point in time because I wasn't watching these folk. And people just had to give me the cliff notes. And people had to say, look at this at this point in time. Because baby, I didn't even want to go through the whole video to find out when who said what. And I'm just give me the cliff notes. Because you don't want to fill your time and space with this kind of stuff. We don't. The last thing I want to say, and then I'm gonna cut on out of here because at 10:30, I'm hitting the gym because I'm back up to 500 pounds, honey. According to the girls, I'm back up to 500 pounds. But I was looking at MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, and I think it is very interesting, you all. And I think what I'm seeing in politics, I see here too. The Democrats work with these Republicans for the border situation. They come up with a plan. The Democrats actually conceded more than they should have conceded. They got what the Republicans said this is what they wanted. And because somebody is running for president and they want to use this border thing as a election item, the Republicans, knowing that they haven't done anything and they're in control, and they didn't do anything, has a lot of people upset. Has a lot of people upset. And now they're looking crazy because they haven't done anything. And then they try to impeach the person who's over that department only to not be successful. And I think that's really interesting. And all I'm going to say is if you said it and if you believe in it, believe in it. But people are so afraid of that man and they're so afraid of keeping their jobs and all of this that they won't tell the truth. And they'll rather lie than tell the truth. And I just think that's real. So, y'all, politics are very important as well. Keep those things in mind. Be on the lookout. Don't be ignorant. So those are my thoughts, you all. I'm going to come back on maybe tomorrow, but I just really wanted to say that I enjoy. I don't know. Everybody's opinion is different. Everybody's going to give the interview a different review, but I think we kind of learned who Monique. We know who she is. We know how she came up and her struggle, and she doesn't deal with her family a certain kind of way now, and I think how she put that was interesting. But DL Hughley actually shot back and said that your family ain't want to deal with you, but it seemed like Monique don't want to deal with them. and not because she don't want to. It's because of some hurt and some pain. And Monique said, how am I going to act like it's okay? And Monique said when she had her kids, it was over, because again, she said, I'm not going to go through this. And I thought that was very interesting as well. You're right, Toy. Vote, vote, vote. So anyway, y'all, that's all I really have to say. Didn't come here to roast, gag, and all of that, because I don't. It's done. It's done. And my thing is, we need to uplift. We need to see what we see. We need to be able to comment on things and and be truthful, and be truthful. So, with that said, you all, thank you all for coming on. I appreciate the love. People who love you, they're going to be with you regardless, whether you have 5,000 people, whether you have 10 people, whether you have 100,000 people, they'll be here. I would like to thank the ushers who still come on over here and still be a part of the Rider Lives, whether I'm roasting or gagging, which I did, or telling the truth and giving critical analysis. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all coming over here, because everybody's not with the slapstick. Some people are really focused on either you are for progress or being just in a standstill. Either you are about peace or you're about strife. Either you're about the truth or the lie. And that's it. And I try to keep it that way. Am I perfect? No. Will I make mistakes? Probably. But this is my focus now. And when you're focused on the right things, you don't really care what other people say. And I really don't. I really don't. And you don't get angry over other things. You start. Let me say, when you're not in all of that emotion, when you're not in all of that emotion, you can step back and see where people really are. And there are some hurting people on the site. There are some people who done gone through some stuff, and then there are some people who are just really power hungry, because this apparatus gives them that, because they have it nowhere else. So I will leave it at that. But I thank you again, Nurse Quell, Toy, Rainy Bow, Simply Pink and Green, Dr. Lashana Root Brown, Braille, who looks out for me, Victoria, Ebony 757, Sabrina T, Vivian Jennings, and and Ron and Uncle Claude and Game Tight and Rodney. I appreciate you all. And so thank you all again for coming over. Shawnee XOXO, I appreciate y'all for coming over. And all the content creators who I think I saw the Smart Show, good to see you as well. Chocolate Bay, Cocoa Bay, thank you as well for coming over. It is good to see you as well. So I appreciate you all. Peace and love, and I'll be talking to you all again.